PGDIP and you come in via the RPL route, you have to reach the minimum of the compulsory subjects. But then you also pick, there are a few electives that you can pick then from the various clusters. Cluster 3, you can see designing digital habitats. This is where we really focused on the practitioner track. Another way that we designed this program was to say that in each of the courses, students can also opt for the final assessment, whether they want to do a scholarly track. If you are on your way to the PGDIP, that's highly recommended. There's also a minimum involved for how many of the courses you have to do the scholarly assessment. There's at least 6 that you have to do across your program. And then for the rest, they can opt to do a practitioner's track, where we focus on a much more hands-on practice-based type of assessment for these students. And all of them in the same class. It's quite an interesting experience because on the courses, you will have the short course participants in the same cohort currently as the PGDIP students. And so you have the scholarly and the practitioners mixed, but it also provides a rich fertile ground for discussions and for cross-pollination in that sense. Okay, and then cluster 4, the critical and caring reflective perspectives. So cluster 4 will not run as short courses. This is the cluster that is reserved for the enrolled PGDIP students only, and so that will run only at UCT from 2027, where students can enroll for that. And this is mainly also in preparation for the research track. Students that complete this postgraduate diploma in blended and online learning design will then also, be in the running to apply for the Masters in Educational Technology that we offer at UCT. Next slide. Yeah, so then how we are also doing this in practice, just several examples. There are many, many ways that we are doing this currently on these courses, but one of the ways that we really bring this in is like co-creating with the students. When they start off, we show them the course outline, and on the course outline, they can already come and make comments, they can participate, and so we try to put the backwards design, we almost flip it on its head again. So really thinking through what are the learning objectives and outcomes that our students need to reach, or that we want them to reach, and then we ask them how do we get there together. Thank you, Daniela. These are just some examples where you can see. And then the next one, and students then actually can comment. It's a living document. They can comment. They can't change anything on the course outline, but they can really give input from the very start of the course. Okay, and then another one, there is a learning design dash. And yeah, Daniela, do you maybe want to quickly speak to this one? Or Shanali, because you were involved in that course.
I can share. Sorry, I just have to switch on my video. So the 2 examples you just saw is how we kind of respond to uncertainty on a program level. Because of the short course route, we have the ability to quickly add a new course to the program. Like when AI came on board, we didn't have a Designing with AI course in our original plan, but because we can offer courses both as part of the PGDIP and as a short course, we were able to quite quickly add a short course on Designing with AI, be responsive to what lecturers need, and then go the much longer grapple route and get that approved as officially being part of the program. So it gives us flexibility to respond to these kind of uncertainties that come to us. And then the other, the course outline, that was how we build in emergent learning design on course level. But we also build it in in the learning events itself. So in teaching learning activities, we did pilot for the first time this year this idea of having both postgraduate diploma and short course levels, short course participants in one space. So we had participants who had taken already 2 courses together as part of the PGDIP EdTech, so they knew each other. They'd already gotten a lot of background around educational technology, learning design, and we had completely new participants, 20 from the University of Eduardo Mondlane, who just wanted to do the short course on learning design models. So we had a very that request came like a week before we started the course to talk about, uncertainty and complexity. But what we did is we gave our students this as an authentic design challenge. So we gave them time to go through a design dash using design thinking processes to co-create, to respond to this challenge and come up with solution. How do we bring in this, two very different cohorts, very different personas with different backgrounds, different language levels, varied in age, varied in access to computer and internet, varied degrees of English language proficiency, also varied degrees in understanding concepts around learning design. So together, they co-created and co-designed possible solution to this project. And we got lots of ideas. And the feedback in particular was really encouraging because students said, the choice of the challenge was to the point because there was no need to imagine how a hypothetical group would feel. It was about us. So they really appreciated this, being able to respond to an authentic learning design challenge. They had ownership over them because that was their course they were co-designing. So it was really interesting to see how they responded and what they learned from that activity. This is an example of how we respond to in assessments, how we allow or how we invite students into the co-creation of assignments and assessments. This was a higher education studies master's degree that I taught earlier this year, and 10% of the course mark goes usually to weekly discussions. It's a small group of students, but they have to engage with lots of different theoretical framings and readings that are often quite difficult for them. And this idea, these weekly discussions, this collective sense making, I believe is really important. But the discussion forum completely flopped. Week 2, week 3, week 4, nothing happened on those discussion forums. So I brought this again as a design challenge to the group and said, okay, you've got 10% here that I want to allocate for weekly, for collective sense making. How should we go about that? And they went away. They had their own small group discussions, which I was not part of. And then they came back and said, what we want to do is we want to meet together, just with the students, not with me, just with the students, and have weekly discussions, weekly meetings where they reflect on the readings and the concepts discussed in class. And each week, one of the students would take over the responsibility of setting these meetings up, of finding some time, of facilitating the conversations, and then to create a summary of the conversations and share with me. And that's what I then marked for the 10%. So I was very happy with that. It did meet my idea of collective sense making, and for the students that was a better way of doing it than the weekly discussion forums. And again, the feedback from the student, you can see here discussion between us was much more productive than the forum. So I think again, the ownership, giving students agency to find their own ways of doing things really helped. So the paper that I alluded to before is a paper that we created or that we wrote about co-creation in our Designing with AI pilot course and the kind of principles that emerged for us in relation to emergent learning design. And I think we have already, I don't want to go into detail. I know it's quite early to move on, but I think we have discussed this, the idea of affirming multiple knowledges to position our learners as experts of their learning context, to rely on their lived experiences and invite them into the learning design process, to recognize, but then also recognize power and positionality. For some students, that might be easier than for others. How do we make sure that every voice is heard and not maybe the stronger students or the more vocal students? That it's an entangled process, that we kind of, the moment we open this up, we kind of unsettle our roles and positionalities, and we give up control. What does that mean? And we, the students step into their power. What does that mean? It takes different tempo. It takes definitely more time to do this. You have to allocate time for conversations, for discussion with the students. Sometimes it's quick, sometimes it's fast. You have to kind of be agile and responsive. It's all about relationship building, trust, coherence. You have to build up a community with your learners. They have to trust you and to trust each other. So that becomes big and really important part of your facilitating these learning spaces. There will be affect, because even just, telling with our learning design dash example, had we not said it, had we not brought it as a learning design in the course, students might not even have known that that could be a problem. So as you open it up as a challenge, there's also, possible unsettlement, and, people feel like, oh, but will I be disadvantaged if, half of the class can't speak English? So there's a lot of affect also that you have to handle. And yeah, AI has become part of our practice, but we have to think about how we can use AI and co-create with AI critically and ethically. And maybe that's back to the small patterns, repeat at large, and relationship building. For us to do this PG board, to create such a flexible program with different entry points, with informal courses that will be transferred into formal programs, and non-credit bearing courses that will become credit bearing. The institution is not built for that. So for us we had to change systems to make this PG board work. So we needed relationships and networks and allies in the institution to make this kind of emergent learning design, flexible learning design work in our space. So now we have spoken for nearly an hour. Shanali, is it over to you?
I think it's me jumping in, Daniela.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay. Great, everybody. So we are getting to the practical aspect of the session. And if you, Shanali has graciously put the link for us in the chat. I'm just making sure, Daniela, are you still sharing your slides?
Yes, I can.
Yes, please, just like slide 27. So what we're going to do as an activity in the breakout rooms, I just want to check, are we putting like 4 to 5 people in a group?
Yeah.
Is that possible for the moderator or to do that for us, please?
Well, we have 14 participants, so yeah, we'll have...
Should we do 3 breakout rooms then?
Yeah, 3 groups maybe.
3 groups, yeah, maximum 5 each.
12, now we have 11.
Okay.
10 people are leaving.
Breakout rooms scare everybody. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Down to 11.
Why is everyone running away for breakout rooms?
Well, sometimes people are not in a position to participate.
Did we start the breakout room or did they?
I think they did, and then we get put into a moderator breakout room, so that's fine.
I'm fine being here. I'm just concerned if we are the ones that started it. It almost sounded like they were still talking, but if they started it, all good.
Did they start it, Bruce and Sia? I don't think you guys did.
I think Sia did.
Oh, okay.
I just got that vibe, like, I think they still wanted to say something. So are you guys clear on the instructions? Did you ask the link?
Should we go back to the main room?
I don't know. I'm not trying. I've got so many tabs open.
I took a picture, so I can tell you.
No, man, I'm gonna find it. What did I do with this?
So
the activity is critical. Yeah. Oh, but that's a slide. Oh, that's what I wanted to have open.
Yeah, it's a 1HE. There's a document that we can't click on, but it's called Liberating Structure. And in the purpose, developing strategies for operating in a range of plausible yet unpredictable futures. explore uncertainties in their work, anticipate different futures, and develop flexible strategies? And how do you see this principle playing out in your context?
Slide 4. Is that where you are?
I guess I'm going to have to, I think maybe Shanali will share the document with us.
Hello.
Populate the grid.
Am I correct, Shanali? You're going to share the document with us.
Hi, folks. Are you our moderator? Who's my moderator for? Or
That
who
would
set
be
up
me.
the breakaways?
That would be Sia.
Sia. Okay, so Sia popped us into rooms before we gave people times or the instruction. So they're now in breakout rooms without an instruction.
Would you like for us to end
Okay, do you want to get out of?
I think, can we bring everybody back to the main room? Because otherwise they really don't know what to do.
Yeah, we also don't know what to do. So
Sorry.
No.
Is it possible to end the breakout room and bring everyone back?
Yeah.
So sorry.
Well, I thought we could have just done. We were each in a breakout room, isn't it? Could we not have?
Yeah, we were starting our activity.
Yeah, we were busy.
That's great.
Did you do that?
Daniela, we didn't give. There wasn't a moderator in each. There wasn't one of the team in each room.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So maybe we do that because that might make it easier and quicker as long as one of us is in each room.
Let's just give everybody a sense of.
Okay.
That's fine. Can I talk to the person who's doing the breakout rooms? Can that person unmute and say hi to me?
We are here. We're all in the main room.
Okay, great. Fantastic. Thank you so much for helping me with this. Could you possibly put Daniela in one room, Nadine in one room, and myself in another room? Is that possible on the system?
Yes.
Okay, great. Then we'll give instructions in the room so we don't hold up everything for too long. And can we bring everyone back to the main room at 5:02?
Perfect. Sia, have you got that? Would you like me to set it up?
I think you can go ahead, Dr. Eugene.
Okay, will do.
I see Daniela and Nadine are in one group.
I just want to move into group 1.
Move to another. Okay, I'm going to move that one to group 3.
So update. So Daniela, I've moved up.
I moved Daniela
in group 2. Only one participant.
Why? All of us can't be moving people.
Oh, okay.
So wait now. Now in group 1, we have Daniela and 4 participants, and in group 2 we have Nadine
1
and a participant.
Yes.
So I think we should move Naz and Roman and Sibongile
into group 2.
Yeah, let me quickly.
This is supposed to be
or even one of them into group 1.
You want to talk? I just.
Oh no, now it's looking terrible.
I deleted group 3 because it's too.
Okay, do you need help, Eugenie?
No, I don't need help, but it looks like people left because now we've got 5 participants in group 2, but only 2 participants in group 1.
Hello everyone, I'm sorry. Daniela and I were in the same breakout room. Is it possible for me to be in a room where there is no presenter.
Hi guys, it seems like people are leaving. So at the moment we have Daniela with Lizelle and Mosima in group 1.
Yeah.
And in group 2 we've got Nadine together
Perfect.
with Jada, Naz and Roman and Sibongile. But I think what we should do is maybe just move 2 of the participants from group 2 into Daniela's group. Then it's a bit more of an equal split.
Oh, don't worry. So have you only got 2 rooms open at the moment?
That's how many participants we have.
Can I ask a curious question?
Yes.
Do people normally flee when the breakout rooms open?
I can't
or
comment
did we
on that.
set up something weirdly?
Yeah, they do sometimes.
Okay. Oh, then we won't. Next time we'll plan without breakout rooms and just do stuff in plenary. Okay, now I understand why I was in the same room as Daniela. That's fine. You can. I just thought we had 3 breakout rooms, so I was like, oh no, am I like in the wrong place? If you want to send me back to Daniela's room, that's fine.
Yeah,
I'll just
I'm
join
looking
in.
now, and it looks like who have we? I'm gonna put all of you in group 1 because now only Liesel, Lizelle, and Mosima are left there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even Daniela is out of group 1.
I think what happened was, so I think in the group 1, only Bernadette was able to participate. So maybe they'll all land up back here, but it might take them a moment to discover how to get back here.
We have at the moment with us, we have Nisha, Shalani, Twambu, those 3. Yeah, I'll put all 3 of you in group 1. Let me quickly make those moves.
Hi everyone. I don't know. I was kicked out.
Oh.
What are we doing?
Oh my goodness. We are sitting with the strangest things. Daniela, we are trying to get most of you into group 1 because group 1 is pretty much now consists of only 1 participant.
But I think maybe we can just do it as one big group. What do you mean? What do you think, Shanali? I mean, we've wasted so much time. We have 50 minutes left. Oh, it's Shanali.
Unfortunately, yeah, as people reconnect or as they leave, it basically group 3 was eventually no one, and in group 1 now, I think.
No, but there were 2 people in group 1 that nobody spoke. I don't think they're there.
Oh, that happens as well. Yeah, people actually leave their laptops, but they still have it running.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jenny, can we start the groups again?
Do you want me to end it?
Yes.
No, start. To start. I mean, is Shanali and are they in one group? You can move me into a group where there's no facilitator. Or you can move us. Hi, Shanali.
Hello.
Oh, we're all back. Should we maybe try and do this collectively?
Yes, I think maybe do it in the big group. Yes.
Unfortunately, we had to bring you back because group 1 wasn't getting any joy. People were either online but not physically at their laptops, or some of them have had internet connection problems and have been kicked out.
Let's just do this. Let's just, yes, in the main group.
We'll just stay in the main room.
Yes.
Daniela will share her screen.
Yes.
I'm not a moderator. You have to make me a moderator.
Oh. None of us can present at the moment.
Okay, Daniela, you're up, and Shanali, let me just
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, you're all back to presenter, right?
Yay.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So what we want to try and do here, folks, is we want to try and think about some of the uncertainties in our world and map those uncertainties onto each other to create particular scenarios that we can plan for. So let's think a little bit. We're going to take, I think, just first, like the very first person who gives us ideas. That's what we're going to run with. Yes, Naz, it feels very much like hot potato in the breakout rooms. Let's get some examples of those uncertainties. Shall we take some from earlier? I've lost my text chat, so I don't have an earlier. But from my brain,
if I can interrupt,
yes.
We have actually progressed a bit, so we have already chosen AI in assessment and pace of change. We just can continue.
Okay, let's do that.
Nadine made quite, good progress.
Fantastic.
Which one was that? Which one was that? Which slide?
Slide 5.
Yeah.
Slide 5. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
AI.
Okay, so now we need scenarios. Nadine, do you want to lead us through this thing as this was an idea you guys were working on?
No, you're also good to go. I think we just need to explain to everybody what we're busy with.
Okay, so in each of those quadrants, we want to come up with a scenario that makes sense for that quadrant. So in a world where we have very rapid change and uncritical use of AI, so that's the bottom right-hand quadrant, what is going to happen in that world? What is a potential scenario for that world in higher education? It might be, is there anyone who has an idea for a scenario where we have uncritical use of AI and rapid change? How do you think that will surface in the real world? How will we see that? What will happen? Any ideas? Any takers? You can just unmute and speak.
I'm wondering, like, if it's maybe like policy, if you say now in the world, if they all of a sudden change policy and they say you're no longer allowed to use AI at all in your assessments.
Okay, so that's an avoidance space,
you must
right?
change all of a sudden, yes.
Okay, so there's a scenario for us. Daniela, I think you are our typer at the moment. So can you create a little scenario block in the top left-hand block? Or maybe it's the top right-hand block, actually.
Yes.
No,
no, it's rapid. It's here, down here, isn't it?
Rapid?
Rapid change, uncritical.
Uncritical.
Yes.
Did I understand that correctly? Okay, go for it.
So what do I put in that block?
Bernadette, are you saying that people will use AI or people will ban AI?
The policy, say from the Department of Education, changes and it says you're not allowed to use AI in assessments. Or the students are not allowed to use it.
Okay.
Because of the high, so that's a response. That's a response to the scenario. The scenario is there's big rapid change, everything changes very quickly, and people use it really uncritical. So the only response to the scenario, as you're saying, is that government says no AI in assessment because we just don't know how to handle it because the change is too rapid and AI is used uncritically.
Okay, yes.
Okay, perfect.
So that's one response in that space. So I see that Jade is saying no marking criteria or guidelines to assess. Where would we put that? How would we locate that idea? So I think it's a consequence of rapid change, right?
Rapid change and uncritical use. So that's
another response in that box.
Well, it's not a response. That would be like a criteria, isn't it? It would be manifested by, no guidance on assessment. Yeah, and the response is then to just say no AI in it. No AI in assessment.
And I think that probably relates nicely to Naz's idea that we could see it in loose and undefined policies. So we have policies that are rushed through but not thought through. And I think it's interesting because I think that sometimes Naz is connecting it to loose and undefined policies, but I think sometimes what happens is that the policies are actually very tight because they're rushed. So they're not necessarily thoughtful. So they're either too tight or too loose. It's not clear.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a Goldilocks situation with the policies.
Okay.
Okay, so we can imagine.
Do we think? Go ahead.
No, go for it. No, you first.
No, let's do the scenarios first, and then we can decide which is the most likely.
Yeah, I think we need a few more scenarios.
Yeah. So what would be the opposite? Slow change and critical use. What would be our response? So this is slow change and critical use. So that would be the idea. That's a really nice place to be. That slow change and critical use. This means that we have implemented a lot. I assume we have implemented a lot of support, training, guidance, policies on an institutional level. So in terms of, as a response to this is an ideal solution. So our learning design can draw on AI, ethically and critically, and we feel in control, and we all know how to use it. Wow. Yeah, that's like an ideal.
So I'm going to ask you to change the label at the top of that grid.
Okay.
So it's not no change, it's just slower change.
It's slower change,
yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's really that's where we want to be.
So if we said use of AI critically but rapidly, what would that look like as a scenario? Use of AI.
So that would mean a much more, so this could be quite top down. Yeah, this is possibly quite top down. Yeah, because if it's slow change, institutions have a chance to respond. Critical use, rapid change, I assume the scenario would be a lot more like bottom up. Because as an institution, we're not able to respond to rapid change, but bottom up networks, that is really the emergent learning design we are talking about. Finding finding communities. This is really around community and relationship building, because the support has to come from the bottom if it's rapid change. It can't come from the top.
Naz is saying we run the risk of being left behind in regard to new tech. Testing and using critically takes time.
So how do we respond to that? Let's ask, what would you think? What would you ask? Well, how would you respond to this risk if it happens?
And then just fill in your last blocky, which is your slower change, uncritical use, is people who don't take up AI use.
No, uncritically or uncritical use.
Well, well, uncritical in the sense that they're not thinking about the possibilities of it as just an outright rejection.
Yeah.
Or it's an inappropriate use. Naz's comments in the text chat, being left behind in regard to new tech also opens us up to the risk of inadvertently not prepping students for real life situations. All the tech gets outdated and change to another tech is slow, and then we repeat the cycle.
Yeah. So Naz, I think the only way you can respond to that is through this idea of emergent learning design communities. So it has to come from the bottom. It's not something that we institutionally can control, but we'd have to hand over control to
If I can also say on that, another response is self-development. You start to develop
Yes,
yourself and do
exactly.
those courses so that you're not
Yes,
left behind.
yes, yes, absolutely. And you build your own networks. Possibly outside the institution.
Daniela, we have 5 minutes. So can we bring this to thinking about the strategies?
Mm-hmm. So
and I'm going to put the strategies in the text chat for people. So what kinds of strategies come up in relation to those scenarios for you?
But I think some of the strategies have already emerged, you know?
Yeah. But also there's space for things like I can see the relationality one in the bottom left-hand corner. Naz is saying, I think with emerging tech, one needs to have a framework and to understand that tech is just a tool that enables you to do things. Without the framework, the tools become less effective with regards to depth. So I think frameworks are useful. I think it's also thinking of technology as just tools is also a little risky in the sense that all tools have a kind of baked-in logic, a baked-in intention that's sometimes quite difficult to see and so, or can be obscured and can also be subverted, to be clear. You can subvert the baked-in intention of a tool. But most tech is tool and intent. And I see that Eugenia is just letting us know that if anyone's changing sessions, they must please go ahead. But otherwise, we can carry on for a little bit longer. I'm wondering about how affect might fit into those scenario grids. Like, what kind of space would we need to make for emotion in which of those scenarios? And what kinds of emotion might we be dealing with in those scenarios?
I'm just thinking of students, you know, and in many cases, just their anxiety around, you know, plagiarizing. But now with AI, I think it's even higher, like way higher. Like what is acceptable, what is not.
So I can imagine in that bottom left-hand corner, there's both a lot of agency space. So there's a lot of space to make decisions, move according to your own needs and so on. But there's also a lot of anxiety for both staff and students because the responsibility is wholly on them. You know, it's bottom up, it's emergent and so on. Whereas in the bottom right-hand corner, at least you have policy. It's not necessarily perfect policy, but it tries to like impose some degree of certainty, and maybe that can reduce anxiety on some levels. I'm wondering if anyone is seeing any of the other principles as being things to think about. So how would we affirm multiple knowledges in this context? How would we recognize positionality and power? How would we acknowledge different tempi or work through entangled processes and so on? Do any of those questions sort of raise a response or a strategy for you?
I mean, for me, the bottom left is where, you know, the questions of power will come up most strongly, because those who have access to networks, those who have access to technology, who can maybe buy, you know, subscribe to generative AI, will be much more privileged than others. I think that speaks to the risk of not prepping students and leaving them behind. It will be a very uneven adoption.
Um, and maybe the power in the kind of slow change band. So everything in the top half, the power is located in very conventional ways. Institutions are making choices. Powerful people in institutions are making choices. But maybe that is experienced as, and sometimes that can be experienced as reassuring or sort of stabilizing. But in other cases, in reference to what Naz was saying, maybe that gets experienced as slowing things down, putting people at risk by not giving them an opportunity to forge ahead. Thoughts and comments, folks?
Nas, go ahead.
So I'm just trying to think, when we talk about policies, right? As much as previously I spoke about, you have these loose and undefined policies. Sometimes having a loose policy that is clearly thought out and it would fit in a slower change and critical AI usage, but it would have a long-term effect. So if we have a policy on AI usage that doesn't restrict, it gives like a framework. And I think this is, maybe I don't have the correct words for it, but essentially knowing that, yeah, you can use AI to do whatever it is that you need to do. But you need to make sure that when you're using AI, you're not copying and pasting it into your assessments, your assignments. It's not a copy paste in that sense. You're using it for your personal enrichment. And this is what personal enrichment looks like, so we can safeguard or guide away from lazy thinking, if that makes sense. So it feels like it sits in using AI critically with slower change, but it's not restrictive.
Yeah. So using AI critical slower change. So that top left-hand corner.
Yeah. So it looks like it's sitting there to have policy, right? That is amendable.
Or policy that's principled rather than legislative.
Yeah. So so as our tools change and as the tech changes and the intent of the tools and as all of that changes, we can keep up with that, right? So that means we need to have a good understanding of all of those things, but it also means that we don't restrict it to the point that it's not usable, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So an example of that for me with kind of emergent learning design is in our institution, we recently had a rewrite of our assessment policy. And it's gone from a very dictatorial, like a very didactic policy, late penalties, punishment for certain kinds of things, that sort of policy. It's gone from that kind of policy to more principles. These are the things that you should be considering when you design assessment, when you design rules for assessment in your courses. And it's been very confusing for both a lot of staff and students, although to be fair, it was ground sourced or like kind of crowdsourced, lots and lots of consensus work in the community. But people found it quite challenging because they're used to policies that say you can and you can't.
Yes.
As opposed to policies that are like, why do you want to do that? Tell us your reasoning. And so that's been an interesting shift. And I think when it comes to, as you're saying, something like AI, where there's so much flux, the policy needs to be flexible as well.
Yeah.
That's very interesting that policy can live on the line.
Yeah.
Things. and produce exactly like opposite responses depending on how it's designed. Okay, Eugenie is telling us 3 minutes. Is there anyone else who's looking at this and thinking, here's a print? Naz, thank you for the comment. Very, very helpful. Anyone else who's looking at this and thinking, well, how do we design for emergence? How do we design to allow things to happen as we go for one of these scenarios? So I think one of the things that I'd be very interested in is that idea of cultivating receptive ground. I think that it's really difficult. You know, institutions have very baked-in processes, and I'm wondering about like receptive ground and that kind of building relationships for receptive ground. That might be a thing that we would think about quite carefully, both for the slow change critical use case and the critical use rapid change case. Okay, Daniela, Nadine, we have a minute left. Is there anything that either of you would like to say in closing? Daniela, we hear.
No, I think this has been very interesting. No, I think this has been very interesting. I mean, I really like this future scenario thing because it makes us think about what we want, you know, going back to this idea that emergent learning design is not just about what will be, but also how do we, if we see these scenarios, which is the scenarios we really want and how do we get there? What do we need to do? What is the next step for us on an individual level and as a collective to get us there? So not to sit back and wait for what's going to happen, but this allows us to really be aware of what could happen and what is likely to happen, but also what do we want to happen and how could we both try and get there, but also prepare ourselves if we don't get there and another scenario will happen. How would we still? How can we respond to mitigate? You know, what could happen. So it's I really like this activity.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, colleagues, for this great workshop that we've had with you. Thank you for the initial grounding. We just took the time to get into touch with how we are feeling today, how our bodies are reacting. Thank you for sharing what you are doing in terms of work, the short courses that you've been working on, and the PG Bold. And then also thanks so much for this engaging activity. Unfortunately, we had some complications at the beginning, and also with participants leaving for the breakout rooms or there being ghost participants. But I think that's also something to show us how well you managed the situation and simply brought everyone back into the room, because as facilitators in online courses, we very often find ourselves in that position. Also, just for the participants that have remained here, a friendly reminder that in Kumo Space you will find a link to our lucky draw competition that takes place during the closing session this afternoon. Otherwise, enjoy your quick leg stretcher. After our 10-minute break, there will be a wonderful panel discussion again by Prof. Johannes Cornier and colleague. So we'll see you soon. Thank you everyone for attending, and thank you to the wonderful presenters.
Thank you to our lovely moderators for helping to manage the group. Thank you everyone for joining us. Bye for now.
Bye everyone.
Bye everyone.
Bye.
Bye.